Raiders downstairs.
I'm just trying to repack some mags real quick.
Scav ahead! Our guy's down!
No.
You're good, you're good. Got another.
Nice.
Oh, I killed them all. Shit, I think there's more raiders. Yup. This guy right there. Got him. Yeah, I killed a player and 5 raiders. Also, confession time. I couldn't buy PS or BP, so I brought in US ammo and still managed to do
my
that.
You mad lad.
Hello and welcome to my 4th weapon guide for Escape from Tarkov. My name is Freakatoid, and today we will be going over the AK-74 and its many forms. This rifle is more than likely one of the first rifles that newer players may gravitate towards due to its availability and ease of use, making it the perfect candidate for a beginner weapon guide. Without further ado, let's get started. First things first, let's talk about all these different variants we have. There are technically several different AK-74's, but for the most part their changes are minimal. Don't worry if you don't already know, I'll keep it simple. You'll be able to tell the difference between the AK-74 and the AK-74UN. So let's just set the AK-74 as the base name for everything here. Same gun, same everything, right? Alright, so let's decide we want to add a dovetail mount to the gun. This will now add an N to the weapon's name. So now we have the AK-74N. Good so far? Okay, now we realize that the stock on this gun is actually a foldable wire stock. This adds the S to the weapon's name, which is now the AKS-74N. Still following? To clarify, the only differences we have made are the stock and the dovetail mount. If we took the dovetail mount away, the N would go away, leaving the AKS-74. Easier to understand now? I have one last change. It turns out we have the undersized version, meaning we now add a U to the name. This gives us the AKS-74U. I hope this little example gives you a better idea of AK-74 you really have and how to tell if it's the kind that you're looking for. Next up is the primary concern, damage. We'll keep it simple at first, covering only a few notable rounds you may come across in the early game you'll want to snatch up. We'll start with T ammo, which isn't that bad of an option for the very beginning. This round is capable of piercing level 2 armor on the first shot, and due to the AK-74's being full auto, it will not take many rounds before some serious damage is dealt to level 3 armor. It deals 57 flesh damage, so it's not capable of destroying any body part in one shot except for the head. T ammo is also absurdly cheap, so buying a ton of extra rounds for a raid won't put you in a financial crisis. The next major step up is PS rounds, which is capable of piercing level 3 very easily. While it holds a flesh damage of 48, it will actually take about 3 rounds when aiming for a thorax of a player if they are using level 3 armor or above. BT is the last major round we'll cover in this section. Having the ability to shoot through level 4 armor, its flesh damage is a grand total of 42, so do not rely too much on tap firing this round unless you are hitting headshots. Overall, the damage on these rounds promotes multiple hits on target. Recoil control becomes a very important skill to make good use of these rounds as a result. Now we have Ergo and Weight. This isn't an easy stat to cover, as each version of the AK-74 has slightly different attachments and characteristics. Instead, I'm going to give a range of these stats for all the different AK-74s you'll be able to buy from traders. The ergo of the AK-74's ranges from 43 ergo to 54 ergo, as held by Prapper. The weight ranges from 3.605 kilograms to 3.205 kilograms. Altogether, these weapons are decently lightweight and should feel pretty quick to use. The AKS-74's shed a bit of weight off with the wire stock, dropping from their counterparts by about 0.2 kilograms on average, while also having a noticeable ergo increase as well. The AKS-74Us really take the cake here, as they average about 2.7 kilograms and a great ergo of 64. All of the weapons covered in this video will have the same exact rate of fire of 650 RPM. It's noticeably slower than other weapons like the M4 for example, but it does help to make the weapon more controllable as the gun has more time to recenter between shots. The AK-105 is the only one different in this bunch, as it holds a rate of fire of 600 RPM. With a slower rate of fire, also comes a pretty reasonable amount of recoil in full auto, but it's very easy to attach mods that will reduce the recoil even further. From the traders, however, it's all pretty based on which major variant you get. The AK-74's will have high 60s vertical and 220s horizontal recoil. The AKS-74's will have low 70s vertical with high 230s horizontal recoil. And the AK-74Us somehow have a strange recoil difference, with low 60s vertical and high 250s horizontal recoil. The AK-105 has more vertical recoil than any of the other options, with low 80 vertical and high 240s horizontal. With a slightly lower rate of fire, you more than likely won't notice much of a difference. These weapons will bounce side to side in their base form, but the vertical recoil will almost always be manageable with some practice. Accuracy on all of these guns is decided entirely by the variant you end up picking. Normally, I would say that the barrel you choose has the greatest effect on accuracy, but the barrel is actually fixed by what gun you get. For example, the base AK-74 holds an MOA of 1.99, while the AK-74M holds an MOA of 1.89. Not much difference exists here, but you get the point. The AKS-74Us are the only real change to accuracy with these weapons, boasting an MOA of 3.44. Overall, I would not worry about trying to turn these guns into a long-range contender, as it's more than capable of hitting targets at longer distances due to its decent bullet velocity. Therefore, attachments are better utilized trying to improve the other attributes of these weapons. Compared to other weapons in its class, the AK-74's are very accurate. The AK-74's all share one common trait. It's f***ing everywhere! It's on scavs, it's in crates, it's on this wall, and also this wall. It's on bosses, it's on raiders, it's on my own scav, and this player I killed. Seriously though, this gun can be found pretty much everywhere, on top of it being one of the cheaper guns to buy off both the flea market and traders. Hell, you can even craft the AK-74N and the AK-74M for some weapon parts. A good majority of attachments can be found on most scav weapons as well, making this one of the easier weapons to build up as you continue raiding with it. Low on money to purchase a loadout? The AKS-74U is one of the best budget weapons you can get your hands on. Ammo for this weapon comes in many forms. To simplify this explanation, I'll sort the prominent ammo by their armor penetration stat first, and show their respective damage. When you first start off in Tarkov, you'll be able to buy T ammo from Prapper before doing any quests. This ammo has a high chance of piercing level 2 armor with a flesh damage total of 57 per bolt. You'll need to hit multiple rounds on some more protected targets, but a headshot will take just about anything down. You'll also get a slight recoil reduction with this ammo, which is good considering the lack of attachments you'll be able to get your hands on at this time. If you gravitate more towards flesh damage for easily destroyed limbs, unlocking Jaeger will grant you access to HP rounds, which can only go through level 1 armor, but holds enough damage to one-shot the arms and legs of enemy PMCs, making it easier to gain the upper hand in a group fight if you can slow them down. It's not until you complete Prapper's Delivery from the Past quest do you unlock the best round for quite a while, ES. This round pierces level 3 armor with a damage of 48, which still retains its 2-shot ability for all body parts. BT and BP are 2 very good rounds with the possibility of piercing level 4 armor while taking 2 to 3 shots to black a body part. BS is the next step up, being able to pierce level 5 armor very easily with a low damage of 40, taking a lot of shots to put a target down while also having a penalty to recoil. PPBS rounds hold the highest armor penetration, going straight through level 6 armor with quite pitiful damage of 37 and a lot of extra recoil attached. This ammo is craftable from the workbench, but it takes a decent amount of resources. 7N40 is the crown jewel of 545 ammo, capable of clearing class 4 armor with a substantial 52 flesh damage, while having impressive accuracy and a noticeable recoil reduction. What makes the ammo of these weapons particularly great is how much you can find boxed 545 ammo laying around in raids, particularly the higher end kind. You can really turn these weapons into your own piece of art. From practical to tactical, classic to modern, red, standard issue to personalized, and this. Don't make this. The AKS-74U is kinda lacking in this department, but only in the handguard choices. Otherwise, you have thousands of combinations to choose from, only to eventually for a few of them. You got drum mags, a 60-rounder, and plenty of choices for 30-round magazines, which early game may look like a sampler platter inside of your rig. The last time I pointed out a specific attachment on a weapon was the tri-mount in my Mosin video. The reason behind this was that it offered something to the weapon that no other attachment offered in terms of utility. For the AK-74's, this major component is actually two pieces: the hexagon reactor muzzle brake and the hexagon waffle maker suppressor. These attachments together reduce the recoil of the weapon it is used on by 24%. 24% for just one part of the weapon. Now, this does cost a decent amount of ergo, but most of the suppressors in this game already have this penalty, so it's not unexpected. This attachment is so damn good at its job that the price tag on it reaches some quite ridiculous levels on the flea market. This attachment is compatible with all of the AK-74's, so have a blast adding it to whatever build you make. Also, isn't it just so damn sexy? I heavily debated even including these weapons in the guide, especially because of how different they are to the base AK-74's. But in the end, you are more likely to run into them at least once or twice, so it won a spot in the video. These versions of the AK-74 are mostly a whole package of themselves, offering much less variety in attachments and looks, but playing the same roles in a fight. The weirdest of the bunch first is the SAG AK-545, which is a semi-auto version of the AK-74 with an incredible improvement to both ergo and accuracy. You can either kit this weapon out to take on long-range fights with surprising effectiveness, or extra recoil control to bring out the best of your trigger finger. The RPK-16 and AK-12 are basically AK-74's with a fixed configuration. The AK-12 has a faster fire rate with controllable recoil, while the RPK-16 holds a greater accuracy and ergo at the cost of a limited ability to improve their base stats. Last video, I gave great praise to the ADAR, even though I ended up calling it below average in the end, which I know is not an opinion everyone shares. This time, I wanted to ask the opinion of some streamers with a decent amount of time and previous wipes under their belt, to gather lots of feedback to people's overall thoughts. So, I asked them two questions.
Do you like using 545 weapons and why? It has its moments, but to be honest with you, I wouldn't. It's not my first choice. 545 weapons, the only time I really use them is when it's mandatory for a quest or based off what quest and what map I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like for long line, I like using the 545 short, semi-auto, BP rounds, something that has high flesh rounds. It's super situational, but as far as competing with 7.62 or the rate of fire with 5.56 weapons, all right, so to be fair, I enjoy 5.45 weapons, but it doesn't compete with the stopping power of 7.62 or the rate of fire with 5.56.
Not particularly. Like, they don't seem to do enough damage Like, it's not that I don't like them necessarily, but it's like, if you're gonna use 5.45, why not 5.56? I could build the same gun. Like, I could do a 5.45 gun, right? But like, all the AKs are basically the same. I may as well just do like an AKMN, you know what I mean, and have 7.6239, right? Like, again, you know, it's, I could easily do another, you know, I could do 7.6239, right?
I actually don't like using them at all. I don't like using 5.45 weapons. They're dog shit. I don't feel like they connect.
5.45 is a hit or miss round. 5.45 full auto, it's good, but it's not as good as 7.62. It also only depends on the ammo. Like BS, PPBS, 7 and 40, I trust those rounds. I mean, I was running a SAG 5.45 single shot the other day, and I was putting down players like it was nothing. So for me, I don't mind it as long as I have the right ammo.
So my go-to for the longest, so you say pre-flee, so that would be what, level 1, level 2 traders? If I was to build, right, a 5.45 weapon with level 1 traders. All right, so say we bought this AK-74U and we're going to treat this as if we're level 1, right? Can't do a butt pad or anything, but, you know, 45 ergo. How much do you use 5.45 in the early wipe is more so what I'm asking. Not much. I don't use it as much. Once you get Jaeger and you get the SKS, that's kind of where I would lean more towards as far as stopping power. So to answer your question, I don't use it much.
What about early game, like single digit levels? No, absolutely not. If I'm like right in the beginning of wipe, I'm using 7.62. 100%. Yeah, it's better. No, I do not like 5.45 at the very start. BP is the only ammo I will use in the beginning, which I actually do like, but 5.45 PS, 5.45 PP, I do die to PP often in the beginning. In the beginning, you're not going to have many attachments unlocked through traders to make the gun not absolutely shoot through the sky once you start shooting it. I'm just partial to single fire weapons in the very beginning, just because I feel like you can be a little bit more precise, a little bit more accurate, and in the beginning I'm pretty concerned with trying to conserve ammo.
Really hate the platform. I'm not even trying to be mean about it or nothing. I'm not trying to be hateful. I just don't find that to be useful.
I don't mind it as long as I have the right ammo. You have the right ammo, you're good. Now you use ammo, results. Except at the beginning of wipe. Beginning of wipe, PS ammo for the 5.45 felt like it was destroying anybody and everything. I would say 5.45 beginning of wipe is where that gun really shines. 5.45 mid wipe to late wipe, it's not viable. But beginning wipe, I think it's probably one of the better all-around guns that you can use, because most of the 5.45 weapons, you don't have to sit here and have some exorbitant build on it to have it as a low recoil gun.
Now it's time for the final word. The final statements on each major version of the AK-74. The AKS-74U will be first up, as it is the earliest available and cheapest version to buy. This weapon is the most lightweight and compact option compared to the other weapons in its platform. That's kinda where its strengths end, however, as the weapon has the worst horizontal recoil, making it most unpredictable when going full auto. Its accuracy is also hurt from the weapon's compact nature, making it not so reliable at longer ranges. The AKS-74 is the middleman of the 74s, granting a slightly better ergo than the base AK-74 while holding the accuracy of it. Its downside lies in its recoil, which is a little harder to control without some attachments. The base AK-74 is the full-size version, boasting improved recoil control, but having the general downside of heavier and slower. The AK-105 is an attempt at being the middle ground to the compact and full-size AK-74, but really just suffers from having the same amount of visual recoil at a slower fire rate. I overall just don't recommend this one. Finally, we have the AK-74M. This is the cream of the crop, having almost all the best qualities of each AK-74 variant packed into one gun. Lightweight, higher ergo, average recoil control, and it even features the dovetail mount if that suits you. Overall, the AK-74 is one of those weapons that everything else gets compared to. It's the average Joe of the assault rifle category that can be turned into quite a deadly weapon with the right kind of ammo. It's also the saving grace of the early game, being found pretty much everywhere and having ammo you can stock up on mid-raid. It doesn't quite keep its hold in the late game, but it certainly never becomes useless. I hope you enjoyed the video and perhaps learned something new. Be sure to subscribe.